Hey, Rolling Out family, welcome to Art and Culture. I'm your host, Eddie Precise Lamar. Thank you for tapping in and joining us for another powerful conversation. Today, I'm honored to be joined by a community leader, entrepreneur, and advocate for Black fatherhood, Rael Jackson. He's here to talk about the upcoming Real Men Cook event taking place right here in Chicago, a celebration of food, family, and the powerful presence of Black men in our communities. Rael, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate being on the show. Thank you. Thank Munson for everything that you do to uplift the Black community and let them know what's going on in their space. Thank you.
Indeed, that's what we're here for. So, for those who might not be familiar, can you break down the mission behind Real Men Cook and why this event has remained such a staple in Chicago for over 3 decades?
Well, Real Men Cook was started to promote positive images of men and relationship to their families and the communities. And of course, it was started in Chicago, which of course leads us to a segregated space where we uplift Black men specifically. But, I think the message is for all men across the country. We did the event in 13 markets for 10 years. After the pandemic, we end up doing it just in Chicago to, just get things back in order. And we bought an event space. So it's been held in South Shore ever since we bought that event space. So I'm really excited. And we also have a nonprofit, Real Men Charities, which builds healthier families and communities. And we think that the relationship between men and women and, fathers definitely benefit our community, and our men are dying at a higher rate than any of the other demographics. So we feel like health is very important for our community to stay focused on. And we also look at health as mental health included, which includes the culture of our people and everything else. So, for 36 years, we started this conversation about Black people, Black men, and the conversation has continued. We've seen that, nothing was happening on Father's Day 36 years ago. It was there are no other organizations that have a 36-year legacy with Father's Day. But I've seen that some people have had 20-year picnics, they're coming up on 15 years of doing things on Father's Day. And I believe that that's related to the seed that we planted a long time ago. And now you see that Father's Day weekend is packed with activities. Matter of fact, we're partnering with the organization. They're doing a 5K at 7 a.m. in Washington Park. And the goal is to really give 1,000 men free physicals and free health screenings. And this is to the mission of Real Men Charities and what we're about for our people.
Yeah, indeed. So I'm glad you spoke to that. Could you talk about how the event has evolved over the years, especially in terms of highlighting fatherhood, mentorship, and community leadership among Black men?
Well, first of all, the event has evolved. The first event was more of a dress up type of event. So it was more targeted at the bougie class. And I think we understood that we need to get with the people and make sure that it was accessible that everybody felt comfortable coming to the event. So the first year we had people like Stedman Graham and, some of the elites of Chicago came out to cook. And then as we evolved, we went towards the everyday man, just regular men, highlighting them and their participation in the community. And then, now the evolution is we're really targeting organizations to bring them in because, back in the day, men would spend $300, $500 on groceries to give it away, but we're not in those same times. So I felt like having organizations, whether it's churches, whether it's fraternities, whether it's community organizations, coming together will be the next phase of Real Men Cook, having them bring their men and represent their organizations. I think that's going to help us expand to different communities again, because there are 30 organizations in a Peoria. There are 30 organizations in all the different markets that we operate in. There are 30 organizations in different neighborhoods. And, I feel like that's the future of Real Men Cook.
So food is obviously a central part of the event. However, what can people expect this year in terms of the culinary experience and the men who will be cooking?
Well, it's We have all sorts of food. And this year we have Josephine's is coming. Victor Love, he's bringing his famous elote corn. Of course, you have the grillers that will be grilling chicken, beef, fish. You have the vegan dishes that will be available, and desserts. It's just a great opportunity to get a sample. You get a sample and get the sample for 3 hours. This food with one ticket.
Hmm.
Where as most events, they make you, they have a food truck or something that you're buying separate items or ticketed for items. But this event allows you to come together and, just help, it's pretty economical for your family. And we have tickets for kids and seniors that are very inexpensive as well. I think that we have Toka Live. He's an international percussionist that's going to participate, and Rasul is going to perform live at the event. So it's going to be filled with just activities and movement, so we can all get together and say Happy Father's Day. Because, one of the things in the conversations that I've been having lately is that we don't say hello as Black men. In Chicago, we don't say hello enough to each other. We don't greet each other. We tend to sort of, there's some trauma behind that. Like, what you looking at? Who you talking to? But I think once we
Hmm.
break that down, we can become more united. And I think it benefits everybody as we break down these silos. I've been hearing that a lot in the community, is breaking down silos, which I think is one of the things that I was starting to look forward to probably like 3 years ago. Like when I realized that we have a lot of mentor programs. Like Real Men Charities is not a mentorship program, right? But we're involved with My Brother's Keeper, which has, I've seen how many mentor programs are out there. I never wanted to reinvent the wheel. I just wanted to give strength to that wheel. So if I could tell men about the 100 Black Men, or about Champs, or about I Am a Gentleman, and you can find your way into the lives of these youth, I think that's very important. And so once I realized that there were so many programs out there, because a lot of things, every time it's some youth violence, people say, oh, we need more youth programs. No, it's plenty of programs out there. We need the kids to know about the programs. So I think that's very important for the
Yep.
city. And we also need to talk about the psychological warfare that is happening on our people, because I'm seeing the numbers and the data about how the violence is going down. We're in South Shore, so I just found out the South Shore has one of the lowest incidents of youth violence for all the major neighborhoods in Chicago. And we're not hearing that. We're not hearing this story told. We're not hearing about the Memorial Day victory where we only had 3 murders when last year we had 11 murders, or the year before that we had 19 murders. We're not talking about the victories that we're having in our community. And there are people like in our age range are literally scared of the communities that they came from. It's people living in the suburbs. They think that you have to ride through South Shore with a gun, but I walk, I bike, I move, what I mean? And I move without a
Hmm.
weapon. I say hello to these brothers, give respect. They give me respect. They're not trying to hurt. I don't see too many people out there just looking to hurt. What is that called? Civilians. Let's. If you're not messing
Hmm.
with anybody, usually is nobody really messing with you. But we highlight the things that happen. That go wrong, the carjackings, the murders. We highlight that, but that's not the norm in our city. And our city is amazing. And, I think once our men are protected in that way, once we become aware of our power and that, good things are happening and we can focus on the good, maybe we'll stop being so self-defeating, and I think I think that's what Real Men Cook
Yes.
is all about. Like once a year, you're going to hear a positive story about Black men. Once a year, on Father's Day, we're going
Yes.
to uplift our people, our fathers. We seen the data. We seen the lies that we believe. You know what I mean? Like we believe that we're not good people. I've been caught in that trap too. At certain times, just assuming things, but that's not the norm of who we are. People are going to work every day. People are trying to make a difference every day. People are doing their best every single day. And I think on Father's Day, we're able to highlight that. And one thing about the partnerships that we are creating this year is that we're going to get 1,000 men free physicals and free screenings on Saturday. So that's a great opportunity. As you do the 5Ks and people get their blood pressure checked, they find that they need to send men directly to the hospital. Like, do not pass go. You are on the verge of killing yourself with this high blood pressure, not knowing your numbers, not knowing it's what's killing us in these high rates. It's not just gun violence, but then you add the mental pressures and the strokes and, it's just a million factors, prostate cancer. But on this day, we get together, we realize how great we are and why we should take care of ourselves.
Yes, yes. I'm glad that you shared those numbers and amplify those messages that the violence is going down in Chicago. There are great things that are happening, and Real Men Cook definitely has added to spreading that voice and spreading that type of intention. What impact do you hope Real Men Cook continues to have on the next generation of young men and families in our community?
Well, I've seen the downward spiral of volunteerism in our community because, like, the millennials are hustlers. They've been able to figure out a way to transform a lot of different things into money. And we want them to understand that money is not everything. That's not, families are important. Time spent with your friends are important. You can't just cut off people. I think a more civil providing a more civil world, because when people eat, it tends to be a different type of interaction where, you go on social media and you think that we all are like at war with each other, men versus women, LeBron fans versus Jordan fans. And it's all sorts of conflict. And it's so easy to say these hurtful, harmful things to each other. And we're so quick to cut people off and, but that's not reality. So if more people could sit down at the table together, because that's one of the things that, Real Men Cook has allowed me to be able to see things from a different perspective. I noticed that when men are cooking, families are coming together, friends are coming together. You think about Memorial Day, you think about 4th of July, it's people coming together and having conversation, fun. But, and I noticed that when I would cook I had a bonus son that I raised, and he's now 27. But I noticed that when I would cook him breakfast, he would automatically grab his plate and sit at the table. But when his mother would cook him stuff, he would grab his plate and go upstairs and play video games while he's eating. You know what I mean? But out of his respect for what I did or the energy that I put in, it just created a whole different type of vibe. And I just want people to be, what is that? Understanding. I want people to be conscious of their own power, and eventually I would love to be able to do some food competitions, because I think men like to compete. And so the way that we did Real Men Cook, we didn't want to make Real Men Cook on Father's Day a competition. We wanted to highlight everybody and didn't want that competitive spirit. But I think that as Real Men Cook has evolved, food has evolved, and we have the food channel now. We have all sorts of culinary uplift has come around what we've done. Like, we've been our own little, we've been like at the eye of the storm. You know what I mean? So you've seen all these things grow. You've seen the conversations about Black men grow. You've seen the marketing to Black men sort of become conscious as well. And I think the next generation, we want them to understand the importance of nutrition and taking care of their health, and also taking care of their families, making sure that the youth feel safe, and making sure that we can take part of these communities in our Chicago that are just so amazing. Like, South Shore is right there on the lakefront. It's the last property that is majority Black that's on the water. This is in America. The majority of Black people in South Shore, it's one of those neighborhoods. And where are we going to get that? People trying to come in and take that from us right now. corporations are coming in and buying up the property. They're about to get rid of Section 8. So, a lot of, South Shore is one of the highest spaces of Section 8, but we know that there are beautiful buildings. There are historical buildings in South Shore,
Yes.
historical neighborhoods, a lot of Black professionals. And we want to make sure that our next generation can go ahead and reach that, whether it's through blue collar jobs or whether it's through college. We want them to understand that they are great. That's why I partner with MBK, My Brother's Keeper, and all the other organizations that they represent. Because as we come together and build together, we can sort of begin to make these drastic changes that we see are happening now, which I hope are permanent. I hope these trends are permanent for our youth, that they can grow up in safe environments without having to worry. But it's been a long time of this type of situation. You know what I mean? This type of apathy, and I want to give them hope for the future. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
And
love that when you brought up cooking for the bonus son, and him sitting at the table, without getting into these quote unquote gender roles or whatever, it's something about a dad cooking for his son that's special, or cooking for their children that's special, right? My sons, the meal they like from me, and this may sound crazy, but they like I cook them a meal of pancakes and hot wings.
oh man.
So when they come around, that's what they want from me. I feel like that's a great bonding moment, right? I feel like that's an amazing thing.
No, I was just saying one of my favorite memories at Real Men Cook was this guy. He used to cook pancakes at Real Men Cook every year. They were delicious pancakes. He would bring the whipped cream, the chocolate syrup, and everything else, and it was just amazing. I also want to say that one time I was walking to the barbershop with a Real Men Cook shirt on, and this guy was like, "I got one of those," and he was like, explain to me how he was like with his father on Father's Day, cooking with his father every year at Real Men Cook. He was a dope man. And I said, "Wow, can we get your father back in Real Men Cook?" He said his father passed 7 months before that conversation in the barbershop. And so to understand that his Father's Day memories are Real Men Cook, that just blew me up. So, you guys can make traditions. I think traditions are being lost in our community. I think we're always looking for the hot new thing. And, we have to come back to our traditions and support things that last a long time, because you don't see anything celebrating 10 years, 5 years anymore. You see them getting to the 3 year point and then vanishing. And we have to support our own, because if we don't, they're definitely not.
Yep, yep. Just so people are clear, this isn't just a one-day event. This is over the course of Father's Day weekend. So can you go into what's happening during the weekend?
Okay. So first, I want to start off. Last Friday, we did a bicycling, Wear Orange bicycling in honor of Hadia Pendleton, with her father, Nate Pendleton, providing the food. And we had that at the Quarry. On this Friday, before a Real Men Cook, we will have a Real Men Talk at the DuSable Museum at 4 o'clock. That's free. And then on Saturday, we have a 5K with the free physicals and free health screenings in Washington Park at 7 a.m. right behind Diet High School, 51st and St. Lawrence. Come on out. And then the Qs are having a family day right after, so you can stay, eat free. You could stay in Washington Park all day for free. But on Sunday, Real Men Cook 3 to 6. You buy a ticket. You could go to Event Noir, search for 36th annual Real Men Cook, get your ticket, come out, and with that ticket, you'll be able to eat some soft drinks, and not the non-alcoholic beverages are free. We'll also have a bar available for any adults that want to partake in that. But it's just gonna be an awesome day. We have Jonathan Jackson. He's gonna come out earlier for the opening ceremony with the Cooks. I think he's moving around a lot. We need to also say that the Push Conference is taking place on the 12th. So it's a whole week of activities. And this whole month, I wanted to create I launched Black Liberation Month. Yeah, and it's inspiring because it's the pillars of Black liberation for me are health, culture, economics, and education. And the reason why I frame health as a liberation cause, because if you stuck to your diabetes medication, or you're stuck with dialysis or prescriptions, that's the opposite of freedom. But if you could change some of your habits to liberate yourself just a little, I think that that's the cause, because a lot of Black men don't even really want to hear about health messages. But if it's part of a liberation cause, then I think we can sort of look at it well. And I think if your mental health is not good, I think that's another slavery type of situation. So the more we get free, and I think in June, with Juneteenth, we should be having that consciousness around our people about getting free. And I think that this is the opportunity for
Yeah.
us.
Yes. Rael, brother, thank you for the work that you do, for continuing to uplift our community in such a meaningful way. Thank you, brother.
Well, thank you. And you asked me about tickets. The event will take place at the Quarry, 2423 East 75th Street. And you can get your tickets on Event Noir. We also have our website, realmencharitiesinc.org. We just want you guys to support us. And this is a fundraiser for Real Men Charities, the things that we do throughout the year. We have a conversation with educators and teachers and parents called South Shore Voices on Education that we've been doing with Ryan Fest. We have a conversation with doctors, Real Talk with real doctors every month. And, we have some cultural programs as well. And so your support, even if you can't come, please tell someone, because it's important that we spread the word about it. And, I know that there are a lot of people that have a lot of activities on Father's Day. And, what we started was amazing. I'm looking forward to seeing other things grow from that. But keep us in mind. Real Men Cook will be here for years to come, as if it's up to me. So thank you, guys.
Yes, yes, yes. And to everyone watching and listening, thank you once again for joining us here on Art and Culture. The 36th annual Real Men Cook event in Chicago will be held on June 15th, 2025, from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the Quarry Event Center, 2423 East 75th Street, Chicago, Illinois, 60628. Make sure you come out and experience this incredible celebration of family, food, and fatherhood. Once again, I'm Eddie Precise Lamar, and as I always say, stay focused, positive, and productive. Peace.